Invest Nova Scotia supports businesses, helping you thrive at every stage of your journey.
Always an innovator, Chainyard Urban Cidery and Taproom has been a staple in Halifax, Nova Scotia since it opened its doors in 2016. Since then, it's crafted over 100 globally inspired Nova Scotia ciders, along with regular mainstays too. The award-winning cidery is taking on a new challenge with the rest of the Nova Scotia Cider Association by introducing Canada's first cider appellation, which has been named Red Sky. It aims to be the equivalent for the cider industry that Tidal Bay is for wine.
As far as our Red Sky, I think it was really a labor of love because we went out to different farmers and really asked what specific cider varieties they had. So we would get one bin from this orchard and another bin from this orchard, and we brought them all together to make the best blend we possibly could and bring them back. And Jay, our head cider maker, really spent his time to do a cold, long, slow ferment. And it's tasting great. It's tasting really complex. There's tannin, it's fruit forward. It's a great cider.
Many varieties of apples are used. The juice is pressed in the Annapolis Valley and is delivered to Chainyard by truck. Their staff take the juice totes directly into the cidery. Pumps are set up to ozonate the 8,000-liter fermentation tank to prepare a batch of Red Sky appellation. Ozonation is a very environmentally friendly method they use to clean at Chainyard. One by one, each juice tote is pumped in. Enzymes are added to the third or fourth tote to ensure they get saturated. Temperature and lab tests are taken while the pumping continues, followed by a sugar or specific gravity test. Everything is tracked throughout the process, both ingredients added and the results of tests. A small amount of sulfites is added to protect and stunt indigenous yeast growth in the juice. The whole tank of juice is then inoculated with yeast to get the fermentation going. At this stage, further lab tests are conducted. A certain amount of sugar depletion nutrients are added to maintain a healthy fermentation process. Later, ingredients are added to neutralize the yeast, which ends the fermentation and protects the cider. The cider is racked from tank 3 to 4. When this happens, they cold crash it, dropping its temperature down to 3 or 4 degrees Celsius. Now the Red Sky cider is cleaned up in tank 4 and left to mature. It sits for a few more days, but is racked from one tank to another to clarify its character. Nitrogen gas is added to the top as needed to prevent oxygenation. 3 filtration processes happen next. Filtration happens through 15, 7, and then 2 micron pads, and eventually back into a tank. Filtration clarifies the cider and removes yeast. At this point, it's time for the final ingredients, including sugar, various tannins, and others that add weight and body to the cider. They're measured and added. Once they're happy with the product, it's measured in totes, and a final sterile filtration happens, where it's filtered through another set of pads and a sterile cartridge directly into their bright tank. The Red Sky has its final tests concluded. Happy with the results, the carbonation process is started using the Fizz Whiz. The Fizz Whiz is a local product innovation manufactured here in Nova Scotia. Sometimes the carbonation stone is used to manually carbonate the cider, and it also gets sparged to release CO2. The Fizz Whiz also tracks the temperature of the bright tanks, which should remain below 2 degrees Celsius. Once carbonated and ready to bottle, cleaning in place happens to ensure sterility. Ozone from their ozonator is hooked up to their counter pressure filler to sterilize the entire system. 2 test bottles are also rinsed with ozone and then injected with CO2. A scoop of biofilm remover is mixed with hot water in a bucket. It will remove any unwanted biomass throughout this process. The end of a 1.5-inch wine hose is dropped into it. The other end is attached to the counter pressure filler. The compressor is set at 30 to 40 psi to start. The filler and 4 750 milliliter test bottles are flooded with the mixture. Afterwards, it's dumped out, and this is repeated 3 times to ensure there's contact with all of the fill spouts. Then a large barrel is filled with clean water to rinse the system. Everything is sterilized with ozone again. The compressor pressure is brought down to 18 to 20 psi. The CO2 is adjusted to fill the filler halfway, creating head pressure on the tank itself to push the product out. Now the bottling begins. The tank is opened and the filler fills with Red Sky Appellation cider. 2 750 milliliter bottles are taken out of a case at a time. They're rinsed and then placed in the counter pressure filler. They're injected with CO2, keeping the bottles from overflowing, and then are filled with cider. Once each full bottle is removed, a specially designed Stelvin cap is placed on and is set in the capper and secured. Finished, it's placed in a case ready to be labeled. Each bottle is placed in their labeler, which rotates the beautiful logo for this brand new beverage around each one before it's placed back in a case to be ready for sale. All told, crafting a batch of this special Red Sky Appellation cider takes 3 to 4 months.
You can buy directly through us in our tap room in our retail or on our online store. And then also 2 of our products are at the NSLC, Foundation and Bright Grapefruit, and we have multiple products at the private liquor stores around the province. I think what we're trying to do is really highlight local, to use local ingredients. All of our apples are 100% Nova Scotian apples. Almost 90+% come from Noggins Farms, so that place where people love to go to pick apples in the fall, get their pumpkins, etc. That is exactly where we get our apples from. Andrew Bishop's from Noggin has been a help right from the beginning. He is a great farmer to work with, and we love supporting him, and in turn him supporting us.
Invest Nova Scotia supports businesses, providing the tools and expertise you need to succeed.